I came across something the other day that really made me stop and think. Almost half of the older Gen Xers in one survey said they expect to go back to work after they retire because they were worried about money. And I thought, isn't retirement supposed to be when we finally stop working? We spent most of our lives getting up early, going to work, paying the bills, and doing what we were told responsible people were supposed to do, right? We work hard, save what you can, put a little money away for retirement, and someday, hopefully, you'll have enough. But now a lot of people are getting closer to that someday, and they're starting to wonder if enough is actually going to be enough. Maybe you've thought about that yourself. You look at what groceries cost, you look at your mortgage, you look at your bills and everything else that keeps going up. Then you look at your retirement savings and think, how long is this really going to last? And what happens if it does not last long enough? Do I keep working until I'm 70? Do I retire, then go back to work a few years later? Do I give up some of the things I've always wanted to do because I can't afford them? Look, I'm not bringing this up to scare you, okay? I'm bringing this up because I believe we need to start having an honest conversation about this. The retirement plan that many of us grew up believing in does not feel as dependable as it once did. And waiting until the day you retire to find out whether your plan worked, well, that's a little late to start looking for another option. That is one of the reasons I started learning how to build an online business. Look, I wanted another stream of income, but I also wanted something that did not require me to take on another full-time job. Because if you're already working all day, the last thing you need is another job taking up your evenings and weekends. I wanted something I could build in about 2 focused hours a day, something that could work around my life instead of forcing my life to work around it. And that is what I do today. I create content, I answer questions, I follow a proven system, and I use automation to handle many of the repetitive parts of my business. Now, I'm not packing boxes or carrying inventory. I'm not cold calling strangers. I'm not chasing my friends and family. And this is not an MLM. Okay. It is a real online business built around digital products, useful skills, and automated systems. And you have to make a commitment to show up consistently. But you do not have to know everything. Okay. I certainly did not. You learn one step, then you take the next one. And little by little, you begin building something that belongs to you. That is the part I want you to think about. What could change if you spent 2 focused hours a day building something for your future? Not worrying about it, not talking about doing it someday, actually building it. Because 2 focused hours may not seem like much today, but 2 hours a day consistently invested in learning new skills and building your own business could create more options for you later. And that is really what this is about. It's about options. The option to retire without worrying about having to go back to work. The option to spend more time with the people you care about. The option to travel. The option to breathe a little easier because all of your income is not coming from one place. Now, I cannot promise how much money you will make. Nobody can honestly promise you that. Your results will depend on what you learn, the effort that you put in, and how consistently you follow the system. But I can show you what I have been learning and give you a place to start. So if this conversation has you thinking about your own future, click the link in my profile, get your free copy of our 10K and 30-day blueprint. The blueprint will show you how the business works and what is involved. So you can look at it and make an informed decision whether this makes sense for you. Look, no pressure. Take a look, ask some questions, see what you think. Because you have spent most of your life working hard for today. Maybe it's time to spend a couple of focused hours building something for tomorrow.